Ready to go? All right. Welcome to whatever day this is, the April 21st meeting of the Eureka City Council. It is 6 o'clock. May we have a roll call, please, Madam City Clerk?
Mayor Seaman.
Here.
Councilmember Castellano.
Here.
Councilmember Messner.
Oh, you have to unmute Heidi. Oh, I don't think she's there right now.
Okay, we can come back.
Okay.
So Councilmember Arroyo.
Here.
Councilmember Allison.
Here.
Councilmember Burgell.
Here.
And Councilmember Messner.
From Heidi, I cannot get to my audio to work, and all the video will also not work.
Oh, okay, so she is here though. All right, thank you.
She is here. I'm going to ask her to get out and come back in though, because that might be the best thing for her to do.
Most likely.
Yeah. I don't know if it's best to do the Pledge of Allegiance while she's doing that.
Okay, I'm going to share the screen if you want to wait just a moment. And wow, this was all up. And it'll be just one moment.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much for that. And now we are going to go to the report out of closed session, and there was nothing to report. No actions were taken. So we're going to move on to the mayor's announcements, and I only have one that City Clerk Powell is going to share with us. We had a message today from Sarah Browlis that we thought we would share with you guys in case you haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Hey everybody, it's Sarah Bareilles, and I'm making this video just to send a little love to my hometown, Eureka, and Humboldt County in general. I know we are working through some really hard times right now, and I know these are some massive challenges, and this is not easy. And one of my favorite writers, a woman named Glennon Doyle, says, we can do hard things. So we can do hard things. That is one of the most amazing things about people in general. And I know my community in Humboldt is one of the most resilient and creative and incredible places on planet Earth. It remains one of the places that I go to in my mind when I'm having a hard time. So I am sending a little love and light and some donations to some organizations that are helping the community at large get through this. So I'm going to be making donations to Food for the People, keeping everybody fed. Humboldt Area Foundation doing all sorts of good works with lots of local nonprofits, and the Eureka Rescue Mission. So thank you for all the work that you do, and thank you for taking care of each other. I really do send you lots of love, and hang in there, Humboldt, we got this.
So she sent that over last night, and I thought that that it would be nice to share it with everybody. It was very kind of her. She also donated to Betty Chin's Village. She just forgot to mention that when she was talking. So sometimes people leave and do good things and remember where they came from, and she's really good about that. And so we're all very lucky to have her as a Eurekan forever, no matter where she lives. With that, we will move on. We don't have any presentations or board commission reports, so now we're going to move on to public comment. Madam City Clerk. Do we have any?
Mayor Seaman, no, we have not received any requests for open public comment.
Okay. Moving on to public hearings, we have none. Now, moving on to the consent calendar. Did anybody want to pull anything from the consent calendar? Do I have motion to? Councilman Arroyo?
I'll move approval of the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in approval?
Yes.
Aye.
You want to do a roll call vote?
Probably, just for the record, we'll do Councilmember Castellano,
Aye.
Councilmember Messner,
Aye.
Councilmember Arroyo,
Aye.
Councilmember Allison,
Yes.
Councilmember Burgell.
Aye.
Thank you.
Excellent. So moving on to ordinances and resolutions, item C1, we have Director Slattery talking about the Shelter Crisis Declaration Resolution Amendment.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So this item is an amendment to the Shelter Crisis Declaration resolution that was passed back in 2016 when staff and council recognized that there was a deficiency in shelter spaces. And because of this pandemic, we've recognized that we still have that deficiency and are looking to amend the resolution so that we can add an additional site. Staff was contacted by Betty Chin about a potential site that is located directly across the street from her current day center at 205 7th Street. It was for a long time a retail shop, Marcella's Draperies, and then it was a cannabis operation after that. And the landlord has expressed interest in potentially leasing that to Betty for the purpose of a shelter space. One of the community members experiencing homelessness that we're trying to accommodate our family and children, and as well as women. And so the idea would be that this would be a new space for shelter for women and families, and also potentially a space to work with St. Joseph and some of the clients that they have as well. So there may be some sort of partnership that involves St. Joe's as well. And so staff is recommending that council approves the ability for the city manager to negotiate an agreement with Betty to lease that location and provide up to $15,000 for that space. Currently, right now, the agreement is set to be for 6 months with the possibility of an amendment. We haven't set a date as to when that would start because there's some improvements that Betty would like to make in order to make sure that some of the businesses along 7th Street aren't affected by this. One of those would be on the C Street side, is creating a ADA access to that side of the street and an entryway from that side of the street so they're not coming in off of 7th Street. And then also the current restroom facilities aren't adequate, and so there'll be need some improvements for that. So the majority of this funding would go towards the lease costs, but there is some wiggle room if there's some need for some assistance for some of those improvements. Betty has stated that she believes that she could have some of her board members and some people that have donated to her previously help with those improvements. And so, once we go through the negotiations with the city manager, we'll be able to determine what that funding is exactly going to go to. But right now it would be a cost not to exceed $15,000. And so with that, staff is recommending the council adopt a resolution amending the shelter crisis declaration resolution, an amendment to it, and then authorize the city manager to negotiate an agreement with Betty to lease that facility. So if there's any questions from council, staff is available.
Councilmember Burgell.
Thank you. So, Miles, when you were saying St. Joseph's clients, so is this going to be kind of a place where people can go and recover as well? I know that across the street in the Family Center, there are beds for people that are getting out of St. Joe's. When we're talking about partnering with St. Joe's, is that what this is going to look like, or do we have any idea about that?
It's similar to that. My understanding from speaking with Betty is that it's the kind of check-in point of it as opposed to the recovery point of it, bringing people in so that they can have a place to be prior to them getting accepted into St. Joseph. I think it's a similar program, but I think it's on the end of them before they actually get into St. Joseph, not the recovery.
So it'll be sick people potentially.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for putting this together.
And I would really like to thank finance staff and Director Millar's staff of coming up with creative ways of funding this. It's been really important, and I think that then another item that's here on the agenda is going to demonstrate how creative they've been in trying to help out local agencies that address community members experiencing homelessness and trying to help them out. So this is a part of that, and really want to thank finance staff for taking care of that.
Councilmember Arroyo.
Thank you so much for putting this together. We have gotten some communication, quite a number of folks who were really supportive of the project, and then a couple of folks who had concerns in the community from neighboring businesses, particularly about people hanging around in front of their business potentially. And I was wondering if you could speak to how those concerns would be addressed and how you might be working with businesses to address any concerns that come up around this particular facility.
So prior to reaching out to us, Betty had contact with some of the local businesses there, and that was the reason why the new entryway was going to come into play. It's literally 30 feet across the street from where Betty's current location is. And from past experience on her operations at that location, there isn't like a lingering problem that's been happening from that. And so they're trying to make the access point very similar to the location across the street, so it's not on 7th Street. The fact that this is family and women mostly concentrated on, that we're hoping that would, help ease some of those tensions, but definitely the entryway coming from that side is there. And Betty is very conscious of those issues and has done a really good job of addressing them if they ever come up. And so staff feel that she's a good person to make sure that we're not going to get into any sort of issues with neighboring businesses. Obviously, if those do arise, that not only Betty's staff, but as well as city staff will help to address those issues.
Okay, thank you. Oh,
Other questions?
I thought of one more.
Okay.
You talked about internal improvements, but is there going to be, I got a question about whether there's going to be anything done to the outside of the building.
So other than the entryway, that entryway is going to require an ADA ramp in order to reach it because the elevation of the floor is a little bit higher than what the street level is on C Street. So other than that, there won't be any improvements unless council would like to request those prior to this happening. I'm sure that we could work on something like that. The improvements to the restroom is basically there's no shower facility now. And so the intent would be to put a shower facility in there in the current restroom there that doesn't have one. Obviously the shelter declaration is a temporary thing, and it kind of allows us to forego some of the building requirements there, because right now those building requirements wouldn't be up to code, but we would definitely want the restroom facility to have shower facilities for those people that are utilizing the facility.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Castellano.
Let's see. Firstly, thank you for this project. I think it will, I really respect Betty's work and her partnership with the city on many different ways. Someone wrote in just before the meeting with a question about the resolution itself. Basically saying that a previous resolution had other properties that were included, and that this resolution now has basically is adding this site and keeping 2 of the previous sites, but not all of them. Can you speak to that?
I just received that email correspondence, and I think that all of the sites that were previously listed on the resolution are still there. There's no intent of removing any other sites that were listed on there. As a matter of fact, I believe one of them is one of the sites that's pending, which are the PG&E trailers. I believe that all of those sites that are listed on there were what were there before, and there hasn't been any removed from the resolution. I would defer to the city attorney to make sure that that's the case, but I'm pretty sure that all of the sites that were listed on there were already existing, and it was kind of redundant to list them again, but I don't think there's any harm with listing them once again.
Yeah, I cannot really speak to that because I didn't review it with that in mind, but what I do believe is this. If the council is concerned that we not inadvertently be deleting a site that was previously approved, you could just kind of add that to your motion, or let your will be known about that, and we can fix it before it gets signed. So, do you agree with that, Miles?
Yes.
And we will do that if that's what you want us to do.
Sorry, any other questions? Oh, Councilmember Messner.
Okay, just, did you, I had a request about street parking. Did everyone get that request? Wondering how that might be impacted. Could you speak to that? And then also the temporary, if temporary, what does that really mean? And any length of time around that, if we're determining that, or if temporary is just on its way to permanent, or what, just those 2 things. If you could address that, that'd be helpful.
So as far as any improvements that happen to the exterior of the building, there'll be no loss of parking. There'll be no changing in parking or anything like that. So there should be no change in the parking situation. As far as the length of the agreement right now, it has yet to be negotiated completely, but right now it's for 6 months with an option to extend it for another 6 months. If this is something that council would like to have on a more ongoing basis, this wouldn't be applicable to the shelter crisis resolution, and there would be needing a lot of improvements to the building to allow for this to be more of a permanent situation. So that would be council's direction, is to determine how long it will be. That if it was to be permanent, then there would be some improvements that would need to be made to the building. Right now it's intended for 6 months with an option for another 6 months.
All right, any other questions? Seeing none, is there any public comment? Oh, you're not muted, or you're muted.
Mayor, we do have one person who I'll be dialing that would like to comment on this.
Thank you very much.
might as well just call me back because I don't get my messages.
Hold on.
Your call cannot be completed. Hi, you might as well.
So the number that I have doesn't seem to be in operation. If you can hold for a moment, I'll go recheck the message that I received, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we want to, oh, I was going to say, do we want to just take a minute and take a break, like 2 minutes?
Sure. And I'll mute this. It'll be just a moment.
I'll keep my video on so I can watch, but when you're ready.
Mayor, I do have that phone number now.
Okay, excellent.
All right, Mayor, I do have this caller on the line when you're ready.
Okay, so I just texted Councilmember Arroyo and Kim, did you, and we're working on getting Councilmember. There we go.
Hey Pam, quick question. I
Mhm.
got a text saying someone couldn't see the live stream.
Is it working?
That's what I'm just double checking. It's showing it's working on the back end, like where I have it. But when I check the page and Ms. Ager, who's on the line, is saying that it's not being broadcast. So I need to check. I'm going to run in the back room and check with our camera person back there.
Okay.
Do
It
we
is
need
on
to chat
channel 10.
before the phone call, Pam, or after?
I can do it whenever, but I'm ready with the phone call right now.
Okay. So
Okay.
why don't we do the public comment and I'll let you do it
Okay.
after. Okay.
All right. Ms. Yeager, please go ahead.
Okay, so I just want to, since I can't get the video feed, I want to confirm that talking about the Shelter Crisis Declaration Resolution Amendment, and I am in support of adding this site to the Shelter Crisis Declaration. However, I'm asking you to amend the proposed resolution. I'm asking you to delete items 1 and 2 from the Be Further Resolved section down at the bottom. Deleting 1 and 2 would simply add the 7th Street property, which I'm in support of. Statements 1 and 2 that I'm asking you to delete name properties to remain in the declaration. I ask that the 2 listed be removed because there are other sites in the declaration. There were 3 other sites. Meaning 2, I wonder if you are intending to delete the other 3 sites, in which case I would like to say that they may be needed. It may also be just the other site. Again, I ask that you amend the Be It Further Resolved section of the resolution to simply add the 7th Street property. I ask that you do this by deleting items 1 and 2 in that section in the Be It Resolved and renumbering the 2 remaining statements. So that is my statement.
So Ms. Egger, since this live stream wasn't working, we did just discuss that and asked about not making sure that nothing was removed that was in there before. Just so that you know that we did discuss.
I didn't hear you. I thought the mayor was speaking, but I didn't hear anything.
Our audio is a little odd right now, but she was letting you know that we did read that concern and we are ensuring that none of the other sites were deleted. That was not the intent of the resolution.
Right.
And we will ensure that those other sites are kept as shelter sites.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any other phone calls?
That was it.
And is our live stream back on?
It is being worked on right now. Okay. I need to go back there for a minute. But I'm going to wait.
If you're working on it, is it getting recorded for Access Humboldt so that there's a record?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is being recorded on Access Humboldt and broadcast on Channel 10, and the video in its entirety will be uploaded to our website onto the Granicus stream tomorrow.
So we can progress then without breaking any rules. Okay.
Yes. It appears like the server may be down, but I'm not. That's what I'm looking at.
Okay. So we had. Wait, hold on. Look at. We had comment, and now it's time for comments. I think I saw Kim's hand first, and then everybody went up at once. So I'm going to just go around the circle if that's okay.
It's not about the comment. It's not about comment. It's about the process.
Oh, okay.
Can you start recording this so that then if there is an issue, the meeting henceforth is recorded via Zoom?
Yes, I can certainly start recording it, but the putting the Access Humboldt video stream into Granicus is probably the cleanest, but we'll definitely do both.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions about that particular getting us online? Okay, so let's just start from the beginning. Comments or a motion on this item. I thought I saw Kim's hand go up, but maybe not. No? Okay. Well, I definitely saw Heidi's. So Heidi, Councilmember Messner, I'm sorry.
That's okay. We're all very informal nowadays, being in our homes and everything, but I actually feel like this is a really important step that we're taking, and I appreciate the work that staff has done to bring this forward, and also the good work that Betty Chin has done in the city with everything that she's done. And so I will go ahead and make the motion to adopt a resolution of the City Council amending Resolution 2017-16 to include 205 7th Street as a designated site under the Shelter Crisis Declaration Resolution, and authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute an agreement with Betty Quan Chin Foundation to operate a shelter for women and families at 205 7th Street. Is that all I needed to read?
Did you want to say, put something at the end to make sure we don't lose any of the other?
Yes, and that there are no sites lost from the previous, from our previous declaration.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Burgell. Do we have any discussion?
Comment?
Yes. Yes.
So I just, I just really want to give, I don't want to say a shout out, but I really appreciate staff really taking the bull by the horns with this one, and really looking at finding us some places to support people into some healthy realities for now, at least. And I also just wanted to speak to a concern I heard during our questions, and that is, one thing that I really appreciate about Betty is that she is a good neighbor. And if you go by, her family shelter, there are not people hanging out front. If you go out to her day center there, occasionally you'll see some people like waiting for Pathway to Payday or something like that, but people don't generally just hang out and chit chat and move all their stuff there. And the same is true with the village. So I think we're fortunate in our city to have this unique, awesome partnership. And I think that this is it's going to be a great addition, and it'll be interesting to see how over 6 months, how this all goes. We don't know what the reality is going to be, but certainly shelter is very important right now. So thank you so much to staff for putting this together, and Betty for always being just you. So that's all. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? All right, then Councilmember Castellano.
It's been said, but I do want to echo my support for this project, and it needs our community. So I just appreciate that we're being proactive and, building. There's something also about the efficiency of building upon things that are already there and working. And so I think that this is really, I anticipate this to be very successful, and to build those relationships in the neighborhood, and to really create an environment where people can flourish and can move on and grow and, live full and richer and healthier lives because of it. So thank you to all involved.
All right. If that is it, then we will take a vote now. City Clerk Powell. Oh, mute.
Councilmember Castellano.
Aye.
Councilmember Messner.
Aye.
Councilmember Arroyo.
Aye.
Councilmember Allison.
Yes.
Councilmember Burgell.
Absolutely. Yes.
Unanimous yes vote. Motion carries.
Thank you, Council.
And then moving on to the next item, which is the COVID-19 Assistance Fund Grant Program. And I didn't ask who was going to be reporting on this. Is this going to be Director Millar or?
I am just here to introduce Kristen Raymond. She is the city's housing technician. Kristen was working with our redevelopment attorney to put together this grant program. So she is going to do the presentation.
Excellent.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. Tonight I'll be presenting the COVID-19 Assistance Fund, recognizing the economic impact that the COVID-19 pandemic is having on households and the homeless population. We have created a grant program designated to assist homeless shelter service providers, and second, provide grants to individuals needing assistance in paying rent or mortgage due to a reduction in income resulting from the COVID-19 crisis. The grants are provided in recognition of the fact that it's important to people to remain housed during this pandemic, and keep people sheltered will assist in slowing the spread of the COVID-19. The grants are being funded with the City of Eureka's Housing Successor Funds. So we will start with who is eligible. Homeless assistant providers and individuals or households at or below 80% of the area income, which is the AMI. Area median income. We're going to go over the homeless assistant provider requirements first. They must be a nonprofit, must be located within city limits, must provide shelter for homeless, and funds can be used to pay rent, mortgage, or utilities. They will be required to provide documentation, copies of mortgage statements, rental or lease agreements, and copies of utility bills. Each provider will be eligible for up to $5,000 per month. The second portion of our grant is going to target individual and household grants. The grant maximum will be to assist, the amount shall be lesser of rent and mortgage payments for no more than 2 months or $2,500. Income may not exceed 80% of the AMI, and the income at or below 50% of AMI we prioritized. Here is the 2019 income limits, which is the most current one that we have by the state. Requirements for individuals and households: they must rent or own in city limits. Households must provide evidence of reduction in income related to COVID-19. Reductions may be caused by layoffs, reduction in work hours, increase in medical bills, or the need to stay home due to a sick household member, or quarantine restrictions. They will also need to provide documentation, income verification, which will include a letter from an employer, evidence of reduced wages by providing a current and past payroll stub, copies of medical bills if they are claiming that it's medical bills that they need that is causing them to be behind. Household income will be calculated in accordance with the California Code Regulations 25, Section 6914. Income may be documented by an income declaration completed by all household expected income for the next 12 months. If the household claims no income, all household members over the age of 18 shall provide a zero income declaration. If a household has experienced a reduction in income, but is still collecting income from any source, the assistance amount may be prorated. Monthly rent or mortgage will be verified by a statement or a lease agreement. Assistance checks will be paid directly to landlords or mortgage holders. And just so that you guys have a clarification of what gross income is, gross income shall mean the anticipated income of person or family for the 12-month period following the date of determination of income. If the circumstances are such that it is reasonably feasible to anticipate a level of income over a 12-month period, a shorter period may be used. What is considered income? Income before deductions. Social Security, child support, pension, disability, unemployment, net income from an operation of a business or profession or from rental, real or personal property, interest, and dividends. What is not considered income? Foster care funding, food stamps, casual, sporadic, or irregular gifts, inheritance, insurance payments, scholarships. Questions?
All right. Does anybody have any questions? Councilmember Messner?
There we go. Thank you for the clarification and for this thorough explanation. I had one question, and that is about, I didn't see on the list if people had to stay home due to children being at home because they didn't have childcare. And I wondered about that, if that is also something that is included in this for people who are losing income because they have to stay home with their children.
That is included, Heidi, yes.
So I noticed that as well. It wasn't actually written in the description because I wrote the same note. So
thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, do we have any calls on this? Madam City Clerk or City Clerk Powell?
No, Mayor, we have not received any concern or any requests to speak on this item.
All right, so I'll bring it back for comments or a motion. Councilmember Burgell.
I'll make the motion. Thank you so much for this creative thing that you've come up with. This is, you never cease to amaze me. So I make a recommendation that we adopt the COVID-19 Assistance Fund Program in accordance with California Health and Safety Code Section 34176 and allocate $50,000 in grants for homeless service providers and $200,000 to individuals to account number, do I need to read the account number? No. To account number, fill in the blank? No, just teasing. In the Housing Successor Fund 296.
I'll second the motion.
All right, any discussion? All right, seeing none, can we have a vote, please?
Councilmember Castellano.
Aye.
Councilmember Messner.
Aye.
Councilmember Arroyo.
Aye.
Councilmember Allison.
Yes.
Councilmember Burgell.
Aye.
Unanimous yes vote, motion carries.
Thank you and good
Thank you,
evening.
Kristen.
That is a great program. We're looking forward to it. And so now we're moving on to city manager report. So do you have anything to report, City Manager Lauder?
I hate it when my mouse is all the way at the bottom of the screen and I've got to mute. Madam Mayor, members of the council, I think that we're starting to hopefully see some progress with regards to COVID-19 and success in our community and in the state. As you all know, the governor is talking about what the criteria might be to roll back some of the shelter in place criteria. And I received a call this morning from Chief Watson, and he had been attending a meeting with other police chiefs talking about what that might look like in our community, and to start looking at what businesses, could really still provide for good social distancing and other good practices, such as the social distancing, of course, people wearing masks and sanitizing their hands, but also maybe tracking and limiting the amount of folks that are in their businesses. And if they can meet all that criteria, maybe there's an opportunity to start rolling back some of those shelter-in-place orders. And maybe that happens in early May. And I know the Chief Administrative Officer of the county, Amy, she reached out to all of the city managers and kind of teed that topic up for our Thursday check-in call. And so, we're kind of excited about that. And I know I asked Chief Watson to check in with Finance Director Millar and Director Gerving on just, what our list is of our businesses and what might be the ones that have kind of a bigger tax impact, and trying to kind of create that perfect nexus of maybe looking at opening up our economy back for business again a little bit. And so that's really exciting. I think that's what's, really on everyone's mind. And, it just feels good to be starting to talk about those kinds of things a little bit. And naturally, what we need to do is be conscious of making good choices and doing it in a very structured fashion. But we also really want to get our businesses back up and running too. And that'll just be good for all of us as well. So I think it's actually kind of fun to report that those kinds of dialogues are starting to occur right now. And that's all I have for you right now. Oh, you're still muted, Mayor.
Sorry. Now it's time for council member reports. So I will go around the room and I'll start with Council Member Burgell.
Well, there's really not a lot to report. I participated in the Week of the Child, and that was really a great time. And I just appreciate all the videos that I saw of our different officials and electeds and just people in general. It was really fun. I think one of my favorites was a little girl who was doing her little dance. That was very sweet. So yeah, been going to lots of meetings. Just so you know, today I did not report out on our city county meeting because that has been changed to just one meeting a week. So that's going to be happening on Thursday. So I will report out on that day. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Castellano.
Let's see. I also participated in creating a video for the Week of the Young Child, and just thank you, Mayor Seaman, for initiating that. And I look forward to more with that program. I attended the HWMA board meeting, and I also volunteered at Free Meal, and I did see that Councilmember Burgell also volunteering there. And just to say that I'm really impressed by the way the city of Eureka is showing up for the community. While I was there, there are definitely people who are hungry, who are really thankful for food, but there are also, Uplift was there, making sure that people received information. There was someone from social services there. There was also part of the CSET team was there. And so it's just inspiring to see so many people showing up to make sure that all members of our community are getting as much support as possible and doing okay. Though of course there's always more to do, but it is inspiring to see the work that the city is doing. So I appreciate that.
So since you guys both, thank you so much for participating in Week of the Young Child. And also I want to shout out to Supervisor Bass did a couple of things, and we had Senator McGuire made a video to, celebrate kids and families and the people who take care of kids in our community. So since we couldn't all get together, it was really nice to see that kind of support for those folks. Thank you guys for participating. And I'll continue with Councilmember Allison.
Hey, I just wanted to share that I'm doing a fundraiser campaign for Food for People. I thought it would be fun, since the barbershops are closed right now, that I give myself a haircut, because I'm starting to look pretty darn shaggy here. And I promised folks I'd give myself a bad haircut and wear it for a period of time. And so far, I'm at 5 months of bad haircut for $2,500 raised for Food for People. And I'm going to carry this campaign till the end of April. So if you'd like to donate to Food for People, they shared a link on their Facebook where you could see my campaign. And if you'd love to fund a bowl cut turning slowly into a mullet, and want to help keep people fed through these trying times, then feel free to donate, because I'm happy to have a bad haircut for charity, especially for one like Food for People, where everyone can really benefit from it. So that's all I got to share. And if you want to see a ripper mullet, feel free to donate.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Arroyo.
I have little to report. I am on full-time Coast Guard active duty orders for the next 90 days, so starting this week. So I am doing that and enjoying getting to know some of the local coasties that I hadn't met before. So, and they jokingly said they would pay money for you to get a high and tight haircut, Austin, so you might want to not limit your options too much. But I've been working a lot, and I know we all have, and so just continuing to figure out how to work and support our community and support our Coast Guard community in this new reality. So that is what I'm up to, and I'll have more to report at our next meeting. I think that's more broader community-oriented report.
Councilmember Messner.
All right, that's so good. And thank you, Mayor, for your work on that. And people have been I've been seeing more bears and stuffed animals in windows too. So I think that's a really great thing that people are doing and continuing to do for children who are taking walks, and just the ability to see some joy around the community. And I appreciate that so much. I have a couple of things. Just Food for People have been volunteering with them, and there are various levels of things that you can do with Food for People. So just as an example, money, but also delivering meals. And the people that we delivered to, almost all of them were completely in wheelchairs, or in some way unable completely to leave their home. So there's just a number of folks in the community that need that right now. And so whatever people can do, it's just really simple to sign up on their website. Also, the blood banks are still really in need of blood. So you don't have to wait for a blood drive. You can actually go down to their location and give blood. So that's just another thing to remember, that there are people who are dependent upon that all the time. So the hospitals and care facilities are really needing that. Also, just there's some fun things that has been fun to see the community participating in. There was a group of people who came together to purchase a pig for Teen Challenge, who have been sheltered in place and have not been able to get out much, and that's been really fun to see. And then also people making masks, and now that's going to be required. I don't know that people have heard that yet, but that is going if the whole community has recognized that that is going to be required when going out. So it is good to do that. And people have done some creative videos on how to make them as well. And so I appreciate people doing, due diligence in all of those things. And then just remembering to take care of ourselves and enjoy the weather. It's been beautiful. Get out and take walks, but keep your social distance and put on your mask, because we're going to need that now for sure. But also just some fun things like there's a lot of groups that you can do art together, even with friends and things like that through Zoom, and just ways to create that joy in our community. So I just keep thinking, if we can just be joyful and fearless through this and work together, then we'll get through this well. And I really appreciate all the work staff's done also in coming together and doing a great job at the city level as well. So thank you, staff. Thank you to everyone in the city who's been doing what we can to get through this together. Really appreciate living here. I'm thankful that I get to be a part of such a great city.
All right. And on that note, that's a great way to adjourn the meeting. So goodbye, all, till we meet again.